Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades all, and welcome back to What Now, where we are broadcasting live to you from the end of the fucking world. I am most sincerely hoping that I am pixelated to fuck, because not unlike other times where I hope my grotesque facial features are masked from the general public, I had a shower earlier and I'm trying a new conditioner, and my usually magnificent mane has completely collapsed inwardly upon itself, not unlike the Greek economy. What do we have here? What is going on over here in Comment Town? We have a Dal. Hello, Dal, my extraterrestrial sister. We have Howl here. Hello, Howl. I don't know why I'm pretending I'm surprised. I was speaking to you about 40 seconds ago. Q is here. Welcome, Q. Fresh off the bat. Yes, you're the early bird special here today. Ava Wrights is with us. Hello, Ava. There is apparently a party over here, but it's more like a raiding party. But the raiding party has come down with yellow fever and dysentery before it's got to the city. So basically, there's just one really sad Mongol saying, "I've come for your stuff." What is... Yes, what I'm hoping to do at some point is work out if there's a way I can play the like the 20th Century Fox music or the Pearl and Dean music that comes on before the principal feature. Good Lord, we are chatty almost immediately. Dear Lord, is this true? Is this true? For one day, I really don't want to be visible, and I am visible. My, do let me know if this is the truth of everybody, if I am not pixelated. This would be incredible. It's either the restaurant at the end of the universe or the Big Bang Burger Bar. It's nice to have another Douglas Adams enthusiast in the house. Here's a fun thing. In the BBC television series of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Mark's quadruplane, the compare of Millie Ways, the restaurant at the end of the universe, is played by the same fella who is considered the quintessential Inspector Lestrade in the 1980s, 1990s TV, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, Katia, or should I say boss? Give me my most rewarding theatrical experience for quite some time. Oh, what a friendly bunch we are. Yes, hello, Ava. It is always a pleasure. But what I particularly like about this is that if you spell out my name, even if you were greeting me, it always sounds like a question. But quite right, Dal, quite right. I do apologize most sincerely. What do we have here? The BBC version is my fave. Do you mean the Benedict Cumberbatch one? Because the BBC has done quite a few versions of Sherlock Holmes over the years. I think you might mean the Benedict Cumberbatch one, in which case I will come to that, and Howl will cover her ears. Ah, mignon, my favorite cut of beef. Thank you. You sure know how to make a guy feel special. What? I wish there was a quicker way to click these. Everyone loved you, darling. You're a star, I tell you. But what's one more star in a low-down town like this? What do we have? Oh, Q, that's so very kind of you. Thank you very much for tuning in. I was absolutely terrified doing that because I've never done any audio work before, and if there's one thing I learned during the experience, I was wholly unprepared for the process of preparing it. Again, an excellent cut of meat. My God, Katia, you're making me hungry here. Oh, Aphrodite, welcome. Oh, Q, for that statement alone, you and I are going to get along absolutely fantastically. See, I loved David Dixon as Ford, but I would have really liked to have seen Jeffrey McGivern play it live action, because if you ask me what Ford Prefect sounds like Jeffrey McGivern on the radio series. But you ask me what he looks like David Dixon on the TV series. Oh, there's a lot of Katia. Katia, these people, these darling, gorgeous people, they all love your story. Please soak in the adulation while it's hot. Nobody wants cold adulation. This is the problem of getting through the comments really slowly. I was talking about Sherlock Holmes, and there was a BBC one from the 60s. It had Peter Cushing in it. Peter Cushing was an excellent Sherlock Holmes. He looked like Sherlock Holmes. The problem was he was never in a particularly good version. Oh, I suppose the one that immediately follows it is also contextual. Yes, no, I have never done vocal or vocal work or voiceover work. I have always wanted to, because as I've said on other streams and in other videos, I used to want to be, and for quite a while was a jobbing actor. But then I stopped doing that because I realized I really can't bear other actors. So I've often liked the idea of being a voice actor to because you get a little bit more freedom in that regard, and also people are quite nice about my voices. The only time I've ever, before all of this AuthorTube stuff, that I've ever read to anyone was to my little nephew when he was very little. He's only 4 now, so when he was very little, and I am no longer allowed to read bedtime stories to my nephew or to my niece after what is affectionately referred to as the giant peach incident. Turns out my dramatic rendition of James the Giant Peach with all of the voices is not a good way to get a 3-year-old to go to sleep. He was wide awake. Oh, Aphrodite, the feeling is most definitely mutual, I do assure you. Yes, this is I worked a way around it because, as I was saying to Katia during the process of making it, the microphone that is built into my laptop, nominally the one that I am using in this exact instance, when I use the voice recorder or even the narration function on my video editing software, there's a dreadful hiss on it that no amount of insulation will get rid of. So what I ended up doing was filming me reading it on my camera. And no matter how hard I tried, I was trying to convert to rip just the audio from it, and it kept collapsing and corrupting files. So in the end, what I was forced to do was, on bended knee and with my cap in my hand, a broken and sniveling servant that I am, go to Katia and say, "Look, I've got the edited video. Will you take that?" And the ultimate downside of it was, even though the end result was absolutely perfect, which is purely down to Katia and not down to me at all, the real downside of it was, in order to get a decent covering of sound, the microphone meant that I sent poor Katia a video that had me close to the camera, like this, like so close to this, saying, "Hello, Katia. Here's your story." And it wasn't creepy at all. It wasn't creepy at all. But everybody was very happy in the end after I'd climbed out of the cupboard looking for more gin. Ava, I am more than happy to accommodate that. It's been a bit of a bastard of a week, so I wasn't in a position to give a general call out for a What Now book at bedtime. But if you want to go ahead and write something for me to perform on this stream, it is going to be absolutely no problem whatsoever. Let me know when you have it, and I'll get a hold of it a few days before. Like when I did Aphrodite's, she was kind enough to send me the links a little while before, so I was able to rehearse them a little, which I clearly didn't do very well because I still can't pronounce the maths teacher's name. B to the 3. Can I get a little bit of context here, Aphrodite, if you would be so good? And when the night comes. What a remarkably dramatic way of saying sleepy bye times. Yes, Howell is absolutely correct. Be sure to check for monsters or indeed bearded English narrators. Absolutely. I thought it was very nice of Dirk Maggs when they were, I think it was when they were doing the radio version of Mostly Harmless. They got David Dixon back. He wasn't voicing Ford, but they got him as a guest star, and I thought that was very very classy. So Q, if in 3 words you can give me your review of the 2005 film version, I would be very very interested. Who is Peter? I would very much like to know who Peter is. You could just watch people's vlogs without sound and do voiceovers, and they'd be so much more interesting. That is exceptionally kind of you. It's oh. You're staring up the pot of the whipocalypse, I see. I have far, far, far too many ideas. You can ask Howl. I'm in the middle of it, and whenever I've just snatched at a plot bunny and caught a bit of its fur, I'm running to Howl and going, "Is this anything? Is this even a thing?" And she's very affectionate and very kind, and she doesn't call the police on me, which is better than most of my friends. Creepy is fine, cringy is not. Absolutely, that's on my Tinder profile. Um, Although it might be the other way around. I can't quite remember. It's for the best. It was horrifying. It was terrible, but it sounded okay. So and really ultimately that's all that matters. Oh, don't you worry about it now that because obviously we're in April now, and I think in our conversation you were saying to be ready for like the back end of September. So I've got now that I know what the problem is, I'm in a position where I can fix it. TikTok, TikTok. Well, as a general rule of thumb, these things are 2 hours. So we've been on for 12, going on to 13 now. I don't know where in the world you are, Ava, but here it's 12 minutes past 2 in the morning. I would be clocking off at around about 4 o'clock. Or there can be something for next week, and I will happily, happily oblige. Ah, well, that is good. I'm in favor of that. Do we all get one? Do we all get one of these tags? Oh, Q, Q, Q. I knew there was a reason I liked you. Oh no, hang on. Put it back, put it back, put it back. I would go so far as to say though that the voice cast in it is exceptional. I think Stephen Fry as the Book and Alan Rickman as Marvin. Alan Rickman as Marvin was a stroke of genius. What else do I like about it? I really like Bill Nye as Slarty Bartfast. He should have been in it significantly more. And I really like the music. I really like Joby Talbot's soundtrack and the So Long and Thanks for the Fish song. But apart from that, it is the most woeful, Disney-fied nonsense. Because why give Arthur a happy ending? I mean, it's a piece of absurdism. It's absurdist comedy. Nobody gets a happy ending. It doesn't work like that. Beneath the waters of the upper deep, the story detective lurks. Welcome, sir. Welcome. It's been a while. How the devil are you? Ah, Peter Cushing. Yes. Um, Tremendously underrated Sherlock. I'm just a tremendously underrated actor. Um, Peter Cushing is one of those actors who could be in the worst film ever and still give it 100%. And he was totally believable in whatever he did. And him and Christopher Lee were the very, very best of friends. And the third part of our trio was Vincent Price. Apparently, when they were making the Hammer horror movie, very, very close to my heart. If you don't know what Hammer horror movies are, and I dare say some of you do, but those of you who don't, that in the history of horror, there is a spot that people tend to forget where through the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, Britain was the heart of horror cinema because these were the first ones to be making them in colour, and they were rambunctious and camp as hell, and they made Christopher Lee a household name. They gave Vincent Price some of his best work, gave Peter Cushing some of his best work, and they were very formulaic and had cardboard sets, and the blood was a colour that blood is not. But they're so ingrained in not only the history of my culture, but in the history of horror cinema. And they are wonderful because they're proper midnight movie, B movie pap. And I love them. I love them so much. It's also, for many a young person, the first time you got to see an undressed lady. And we're talking 60s undressed ladies, you know, so they're still mostly clothed. Oh, Dal, really? I'm so glad. I'm so glad when I make a recommendation and somebody enjoys it. I made this point a few days ago to Howell, in fact. Tell me, for anybody in the chat, when you make a recommendation to somebody, whether it's a book or a film or something, and they don't enjoy it, do you ever feel a sense of inexplicable guilt? Or is it just me? Because I'm always overcome with this feeling that I've wasted their time and now maybe they won't like me because they don't like what I liked, and so on and so forth. I didn't say you were affectionate. I just said that you were accommodating. You do have a badass, heartless rep to maintain, but that doesn't mean you don't have manners. Huh? Think about it. Think about that. What do we have here? What's going on? Pardon me, boys and girls. I will be with you momentarily. Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. These are some of the best reviews I've ever got. The last play I was in was so bad that the only review it got talked about the theatre and not the play. What does it say? Beginning of your reading of Shattered was wonky because you went in and out a bit, not your fault, and it was still brilliant. Oh, thank you. If these are the only instances where I'm glad to make somebody cry. Thank you. Thank you. Alan Rickman. I am going to count to 3. There will not be a 4. Can I get a 30-minute window post-stream for Q to edit? Also, there's something going on up here that I have missed. I do not believe that message was for me. What is going? Ah, yes, I've heard about this DR Ranger, or is it Dr. Ranger, or is it I can't roll my R's anymore. I used to be able to, but I can't now. Ranger, whatever. No, not Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill Nye, the English actor. We had a couple of those over here. There was one called How, and that was more just answering questions about the world. And there was one on CBBC called The Big Bang, where they could show you absolutely anything to do with chemistry, physics, or biology, so long as it involved baking soda and vinegar. They got 5 years worth of material out of that. You are blessed. You are blessed. He was a marvelous man. Good Lord. This is exciting, this. I mean, this is like Phileas Fogg getting around the world in 80 days. Is it possible that I am watching? Oh, sorry. Do you have any idea whatsoever how gratifying it is to be in the company of someone who knows Quatermass? I'm a die-hard Nigel Neal fan, and the Andrew Keir Hammer movie of Quatermass and the Pit in glorious, visceral Technicolor is a work of beauty. Mind you, it's the only one of the three original TV series that still exists in its fully recorded form of the 1958, I think, original black and white BBC TV serial Quatermass and the Pit. And it's even today, it's really quite frightening. Obviously, this is before television was properly censored, but this was prime time television and raising some major questions. That's made my absolute day. That so, detective, thank you so much. I really thought I was living in this little bubble. This is popped down, but I think I just saw Laura being very confused. So we will come to that in a moment. My God, you lot are so remarkably chatty and rambunctious. It's absolutely fantastic. I haven't even managed to do my update yet, but really, that does not matter even slightly. What have we got here, Ava? No, I feel acknowledged that they respect my. Oh, this has nothing to do with me. This is a conversation that's going on elsewhere. I do beg your pardon. Hello, 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 Trinity Trilogy. How the devil are you? The thing is, by the time I actually get to your answer, um, I'll have already forgotten that I asked. What do we have? I usually preface my stuff with words like, I liked it, maybe you'll be interested. That way, if they don't, I feel nothing. Nothing! Aphrodite is soulless when it comes to her recommendations. Take this, mere mortal, and be grateful you didn't get the back of the ring hand. What the fuck? I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades. Um, there we are. This is where I was. Laura, what was happening? I think it's just possible that you clicked on while I was getting very overexcited about films from the 50s and 60s, because the story detective actually knew about an otherwise mostly forgotten titan of English science fiction, and I got very happy about it. Because to the majority of people in the Western world, science fiction begins with Star Wars, which is really annoying. What's this? What's this? What's this? Ouch, that's a super passively aggressive review if I ever heard one. The show was there. But did you see the theatre? Oh man, what a theatre. Yeah, no, it wasn't even particularly nice. It was about a 1,200 word review. 700 words of it were about the fact that the heating had broken down in the theatre, and you could see the breath of the actors. Well, the joke's on them. It was a listed building, and it didn't have central heating to begin with. It was a shockingly awful play. I knew something was up with it when they asked me to be shirtless. Ah ha 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 ha! It's popping down again. I'm so sorry. Du-du-du-du-du. Hello, Ava. What is this? Oh, if you have it tonight, I will read it tonight, but don't go out of your way. Just let me know when you have written it, and it will be read. There is no greater or lesser time frame on this. Whatever you are comfortable with, whatever makes you all happy. And I'm so glad you joined us because I exist to confuse people. I hope to be a little. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that make my belt feel so much better? But nevertheless, an avatar of confusion for you all. Oh, well, that makes exactly one of us, doesn't it? Because I can assure you it's not me. What's the good news, Story D? I still have quite a massive pit and one or two of the black and white. Oh, Right. Ah, that is the Philosopher's Stone, as far as I'm concerned. It really is. That's like the for anybody who's curious about why I'm getting so overexcited and why the story detective is quite clearly relishing in just throwing these little bits towards me is Nigel Neal was a screenwriter in the late 40s, early 50s. He worked up until the 70s, but that's when he started. And he was unique in the history of screenwriters because he was the very, very first to write exclusively, to start out anyway, exclusively for television. He invented the television drama, the idea of using television for serialized narrative performance that wasn't an adaptation of, say, Shakespeare or Moliere or something, of original, exclusively for television content, was his invention. And the first thing he did with it was a piece of science fiction horror called The Quatermass Experiment, which was broadcast live. They didn't have the means to record it. There are partial recordings of the first one with Reginald Tate playing Professor Quatermass in the first one. But they're mostly degenerated. They're reconstructions of them from sound recordings and photographs. But it is a remarkable piece, a tangible piece of the history of our art form. And it's also really, really good. It's spectacular. You're better than good, Lara. I'd say you're outright magnificent. But if you're feeling the need to be the words, ladies and gentlemen, they've got a modest. If you're feeling the need to be modest, we can go ahead with good. Well, hello, 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 Mr. D.R. Ranger Writing. I have your video for a short story contest open here. I haven't watched it all yet because I realized I had to broadcast this thing, but it's sitting right there in that tab, just there. So I will be giving that a look over later. What is this? What more? Yes, the man, the myth, the marsupial. Dear Lord, this is rapidly becoming the biggest audience I've ever had. Oh God, it's all popped down again. Forgive me, brothers and sisters. I'm still rather new at navigating this StreamYard thing. What is happening here? I've missed something. All the way, all the way, all the way. Please talk amongst yourselves for a moment. In fact, no, don't, because if you add more comments, it'll. You know what? Do what you like. Do what you like. Oh my God, it's all happening. It's all happening. There, right. Where are we? Talking about you, good things or bad things. No, it was a compliment, I promise. Always consider me. Also consider me sub. Dear God in heaven, I am subbed. At this rate, I'm going to have to start thinking about what to do when I reach 100. What do we have here, Laura? I got the first dystopian book recently. And then right, okay. How do I describe this? The thing is, if you've read or seen any dystopian civilization, not like the sort of post-apocalyptic dystopian, but like society run in totally the wrong direction, the literal antithesis of utopia. We is the microbial grandmother cell of all of them. Read it, and we'll talk about it later because it's when you're reading it, remember that there was nothing that came before it. This was just I'm so excited for you. I really, really am. Incidentally, you got an arc of Lindsay Ellis's first book, and I have never been more jealous of anything in my life. So I am going out of my. Is this a word count? Is this a word count ever? Listen, I've ran out. I've stopped counting the amount of people trying to kill me, so it's all good. I had a nightmare the other day which involved that Russian villain for my sci-fi, so I kind of delayed my writing of that piece for you to read. I'm not ready. Well, I will not do the voice again because we want pleasant dreams. That's what we want going on here. What now is going to be narrating many, many stories. I can see it. Yes, I have a face for radio. What can be said? But yes, I was talking again because all I seem to do at the minute is talk to Hal. The fact my other friends have vanished in the middle of a pandemic, you'd think I'd be more worried about them. Turns out I'm a misanthrope, and who gives a shit? But I was talking to Hal about this the other day. What I'm thinking of doing, given how remarkably warm and embracing your responses have been to not only my readings, but also to just speaking, that I have been making a short list of famous pieces that are also in the public domain, and I will be recording samples of them to put on my channel. So if anybody's interested in getting a hold of this, we can sort it out. Well, it depends entirely on what the accent is and whether or not you want something authentic or, as I have said previously, cartoonishly offensive or offensively cartoonish. As indeed, most of my American accents are like the sort of things you'd get out of a Looney Tune character. Oh, it's popped again. As, without context, that is a very alarming sentence. Very poor choice of words. But in this instance, I meant the comments had. But, pardon me. Right. Yes, we are all in agreement on Laura's magnificence. This is not open for debate, but it is available to be repeated. Oh, Danny boy. Y'all remember to like the stream while you're here. Is that a thing? Okie dokie. Let's get along with that then. What is this? Yeah, I always find if I try to write a short story, I end up with a novel. But if I just start scribbling and don't focus on how long it is taking me, I can get a short story out. It's I think it's something an awful lot of writers need to remember, and I can't remember who said it, but the idea of the medium is the message. So when you've got the idea in your head of the story and what you want to say, you really need to spend a bit of time trying to work out just how you're going to do it. Because it's all very well and good to say, I've got an idea for a novel, but what you mean is you've got an idea for a story. But that story could be better expressed in a short story or a cycle of short stories rather than a single linear novel. It could be better told as a narrative poem. It could be in a video game. It's trying to work out the medium to fit the story. And I'm sorry, I got distracted again because once again, this is a mirror image. So whenever I do anything with my hands, it's in the opposite. Never mind. It's been a long week. I'm a little bit fried. Oh, I can roll my R's again. No, that's nice. Yes, well, we are, to all intents and purposes, a community. And hey, is this not what community is all about? My voice is too deep for that. I don't know, because I don't know what I do with it. I don't know how I do it. I mean, apart from starting every 15-minute section by going, ready? Okay, just to alarm people. I can't imagine. See, a what now writing sprint would have to be something very particular. There would have to be some uniqueness to it. If I ever think of what that would be, I would do a writing sprint. But one of the main reasons I haven't done them, and the only reason I log on to other people's, is to show solidarity and maybe pass the time of day with the audience is because I don't write at my computer. I write initially I write longhand. So me doing a writing sprint would be setting off a 15-minute timer and then running away to somewhere my computer isn't to write for 15 minutes, come back and go, well, this is what I've got. But I am not against the idea. And also, I don't know who would watch it. I don't know who would want to come to What Now for their writing sprint. But I'm not against the idea. I would want to think of a slightly more interesting way to do it. But it being past your bedtime over there, you might not be upright. No, I do all of my writing after dark. I do my best writing in the wee small hours. If anything, this is biting into it. My daylight hours are mostly frantic, so I'm required to use the midnight oil, as it were. No, I haven't, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I love how I'm watching a story coming into being. There's a double tap, god damn it. Watching a story coming into being as we go along. Yes, I did do a Russian accent. I would dearly, dearly love to do that, Danny, if I had one. But alas, I do not. The only reason I don't have an Instagram is because I never really see anything I particularly want to share. But it took me long enough to get onto Twitter. It took me long enough to get onto here. So I'm getting the impression that Instagram is going to be the logical next step. Oh, I was not built for this world of social media. What can I do? I feel like a bull in a china shop. I have something else for you to read. No worries, it's not as heavy as Shattered. Is it the other book? Is it the naughty book? Because if you ask me to read that, I will do it with like the voices of Disney characters. Just for the lols. What a horrifying sentence, but thank you. Incidentally, on the subject, does this mean that I am visible? I am not being filtered through what Katia magnificently referred to as oatmeal from the moon. You can see me. Because we've had some trouble with that before. Going from my voice to my face, this is getting alarming. We must move on. Oh, no, wait, it's blurry. Lara says it's blurry. Oh, you saw my shark teeth. You don't have a face for very nice blurry face. Yes, here I am broadcasting live from inside Minecraft. Oh, please tell me I didn't just do what I think I did. Yes, I did. Yeah. At some point, I promise you, I'm going to tell you something worthwhile. Oh, I saw Love Smiles as there. But I will get to you in a moment. I'll get to you in a moment, sir. Oh, you weren't actually that far away. Quality face, 10 out of 10, dear me. Hello. Love Smiles. You who came out of the blue to be so remarkably kind and encouraging to me. It was like I felt like I was being followed down a dark alley by a figure I couldn't quite see, and the footsteps were getting nearer and nearer, and the lamplight was fading and fading, and all I could hear was the blood rushing in my ears as I knew that I couldn't outpace the approaching figure until finally, in a flash of adrenaline, I span round, and there you were, just to say, "You gave me a nice day. Bye-bye," and then walked off. It was the most alarming and uplifting experience of my life. So it is exceptionally pleasant to have you back here, and I hope, more than anything, that you are doing well. Don't start singing, or I might faint here. I we've discussed this. I can't sing, so but like every person who can't sing, I do little else. I sing constantly, given that I can't. I would love that more than anything. I have so often um, thought about writing animation because I would so much love to do voices for animation, and I thought about writing it, but it's, as no doubt you know, it is significantly harder to make an animation, a proper, a full one, than it is to just make a film. I can use this as a segue because we are, hang on, and by we, I mean Fernando, and who has recently joined the party, Gordon the Gargoyle. We are sitting on a field of victory because we have finished the novel. We have finished the line by line rewrite. So now there is not a comma out of place. It is currently being given the Howl testing. So Howl, if you want to go ahead and let the cool cats and kittens out in the What Now chat, let them know whether or not the fucking thing is readable and something they'd like. I'd greatly appreciate it. Hello. I end up with at least a novella if I attempt short stories. Yeah. And my novels are quite large. I've gotten wise with myself and underwrite my novels because I know more story will be added. Yeah, I referred to this, I think, on my first stream. I can't quite remember, but I think now at the at the age I am, that there are principally two kinds of writers, and there are those who will, as you say, underwrite. They will get the bare bones of it. They will get the scaffolding and the general skeleton of the piece, and then as they draft, they will layer it and build it back up, rather like a forensic archaeologist will construct the face from out of the skull. And then there are others like me who will write a 250,000 word first draft. That happened once, and then cut it to shape. No, it wasn't on my stream. It was on the stream I did with Howell and Howard, solving crimes, and find the shape as I go in. So I will end up with like a quantum manuscript where every possible variation of the piece is in there, and I will find it as I go along because I really, really hate structural editing so much that I would rather massively inconvenience myself in the first go than have to dig through and fix the genetics in an already living being. Well, what do you want me to say to that? Well, I can punch out 5-year-olds. What? What of it? If we're going to flex, let's flex. No, I envy you that massively. I can't do it. I never know. I've never been able to sit down and say, okay, this is going to be 15,000 words, or is the next chapter, it's going to be 3,500 words. It never is. It's never that. It always comes out exactly as long as I think it has to be. Well, always a little longer, and then I cut it out. Seriously, my entire time at university, where they'd say, right, the coursework is a 3,000 word short story. I'd have written a 7,000 word one, and then I would tear my hair out, cutting it down to shape. Yes, but Dal, you're really good at this. That's the principal difference. You host things and they're good because you are good at this. This is the principal difference. And if you are nervous, it never comes across unless you start every one with saying, I'm so nervous, because I'm never there at the beginning. I have a story. I wanted to be a novel, but I might reorganize it and see if I can 5K it. That sounds like a threat. I know it's not a threat, but it sounds like it could be. Oh, well, I quite clearly missed Q, but it was lovely to have you here. And but who am I talking to? She's not here. Somebody let her know it was lovely talking to her. What? Again. Sorry, chaps. I'm with you now. Every time I try to scroll down, it just goes straight to the bottom, which again is something on my Twitter profile. Good God, how much you chaps. This is remarkable. Here we are. So Q is definitely gone. The naughty book with Disney characters, yes. I can be heard. Oh, it's an altogether different tale. Yes, I am Herobrine. That is the truth of the matter. Wait a minute. No, it was me who felt like I was mugged by you. That is the basis of this friendship. Oh, what a story to tell the kids, eh? No, don't you dare. Don't you dare. You're here, you're with us now. You have been observed. The observer effect is in full flow. You are now an entity within this little universe. If that's for me, I'm flattered, but also confused, because as ever, I cannot remember what the fuck I've just said. My God, it's amazing how popular Fernando is. I'm intrigued. The biochemical response to this. Because strictly speaking, what happens when you hit caffeine with lactic acid? What does that do to your muscles? Keep me posted. I'm very interested in how this goes. I'm doing my best Dr. Moreau impression right now. Right. I've made this mistake before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down a little bit and I'm going to see if anybody answered that before I answer you. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, all wrong. This was all wrong. No. No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't asking for beta readers. Thank you very much, Katia. That is not what I was requesting. I was simply asking Howl if she would alert you lot as to whether or not it is something she thinks you would all enjoy. Because frankly, I've been staring at this thing for so long, it's now just black ink on a page. And I think it rings in at 117,000 words. Underwriter with descriptions for which reason, yes. Well, if you like. Oh, no, there was, yep. What were you moving, Katia? Over bed. Yes, of course, that happened earlier. Don't mind me. It's 10 to 3, and it's been quite a while. I'm reading a few spots to crit part, critical partridge or critical partner. Oh, I've had a few of those in my time. No, I know. I'm only teasing. You see, it's just part of a natural ecosystem. It's a big old jungle is the writing world, and sometimes there are just these large, ponderous mammals that somewhere between an elephant and an orangutan is where just slowly engorging itself on absolutely everything, and then with more fleet-footed creatures like yourself. There we are. It's the gulf between a Sumatran orangutan and a spider monkey. That's how it comes down. Trying to imagine a great ecosystem. Which reminds me as to why the stream is the way it is. Hopefully, I will remember that I remembered by the time I get to the end of this chat. Don't do it. It did it. You folks are magnificently. I see a new name here. Yes, I did, and I will get to that when it comes back. Pardon me, folks. Right, here we are. What's this? What's this? There's comments everywhere. Yes. Learned requirements get easier with practice. Definitely a learned skill. True. Challenge yourself. School forced me to, and now I feel like any challenge is possible to complete. Yeah, I've heard similar things when it comes to deadlines and writer's block, because two of the writers I admire most of all, Terry Pratchett and Michael Moore. Michael Moore. No, not Michael Moore. Michael Moorcock. They both had backgrounds in journalism. And they said that practicing journalism was the best way to ever cure yourself of writer's block, because there was no such thing as writer's block when you're a journalist, because there's always some fucking editor leaning over you saying, get the job written or you're fired. So it just becomes habit after a while. And as such, Michael Moorcock has a bibliography that makes me want to cry. It's insane. Is this the Jack the Ripper one we were talking about? I've just realised that so many of these are so far behind that there's no point in me answering them, because the answers will already be further down. Once I get my chance. Story detective. You have a Sherlock Holmes story? Oh my. I like that. I like that a lot. One of my proudest acting moments. It wasn't even a proper acting moment. It was a favor for a friend. He was doing radio a radio production course, because we went to the same drama classes, and he was focusing on radio, and he did a radio adaptation of The Final Problem, and I got to be Moriarty. I was so happy, but it belongs to the university, so I don't even have a fucking copy of it. I was so upset, but I really love that. Right, I've got to catch up here. I've got to catch up. I don't have beta readers. I have acolytes. I have chaotic ink goblins to do my bidding. I'm turning into Tony J. That's who it's. That's where it's coming from. What you did was sneaky, underhanded, and downright distasteful. I loved it. Hello, Dana Golden Wright. It's so kind to have you here. So nice to have you here. So kind of you to join us. And you joined us a little while ago, but only now am I alerted to your presence because of the chatty folks chatting away down in Chatsville. Dal coming along on the inside with her word counts. Magnificent. This is your long-awaited science fiction piece, I'm guessing. Ooh, and Katya's putting her back out of a little bit of impromptu quarantine feng shui. Gotta get those chakras even while the virus looms. There is something living in this room with me. Either that or I've missed my antipsychotics. Or possibly both. What's going on down here? Maybe I'm not supposed to talk to walls. You should talk to the walls. It saves you a lot of time talking to anybody else. I mean, look, here I am talking to myself. Oh, and what is going in that taco meat? Or does this mean that there is such an animal as the wild taco, and you are now butchering it? Because that still sounds awesome. Tell me more, tell me more. But that's how I'm going to Oh, now we are stretching a metaphor here, but I am all in favor. What is the silverback author? And I am really interested to know. Unless it's just possible, you mean me. We will discover. If it's up here somewhere. I know it's up here. It was just possible. I had ideas of what to say this evening. But they, like the snows of yesteryear, are gone from this earth. Prizes up for grabs. Read us the opening of your finished book. Hang on. Do you mean me? Well, I'm the only one here, so I presume you mean me. I will get clarification on that, and then I will explain why that might be a little bit tricky. Conversations to deadlines of my crutch. I need a boss. Yes, I agree entirely. I am useless without a ticking clock. I will. There's a law. It's like Murphy's law or Sod's law or something that says that any piece of work will fill any time that is given to it. So if you're working away on something and you thought you had a week to do it, and then someone says, "Oh no, you've got 2 weeks to do it," suddenly the work will take 2 weeks to do. How to make ground meat, taco meat, lots of tacos, lots of meat. This is my kind of place. I didn't have quite so much prep. Oh, hang on. I didn't have quite so much prep. Oh no, again, tacos. There's conversations going on in here that are absolutely nothing to do with me. This one is because it's got my name on it. You and Ashling are the only people who know about the Jack the Ripper story. That is no longer true, but I'm glad to be kept in the loop. More stuff of the adorable. If writes, oh hello, this is addressed to me. This is like living in shared accommodation, and you get everybody's post at once, and you're trying to work it out. I have a Sherlock Holmes series. Well, hasn't this made my day? Listen, I'm trying to found a cult. That's all I'm trying to do. This is a very serious theory amongst some Ripperologists. They call it Jane the Ripper. And their argument goes that she was the district midwife, because you can imagine what the quality of nursing care in that part of the 19th century was. It was only around about this time that within the cities and certainly the slum areas that medical treatment was getting out there. And the idea goes that while the police and Aberline and H Division were looking for a tanner or a butcher or a rogue doctor, a woman with a bloodied apron walking around Whitechapel in the middle of the night in an area where sex workers are known to be plying their trade would not be suspicious at all. So she was a midwife or a backstreet abortionist or a district, or given the time and place, all three at once. So it's actually not that far-fetched, and it's not that out there to make the Ripper a woman. It's happened again. I just saw part of Danny's comment there as I scrolled past. I didn't want to read any more because I want to get the whole thing in one go. Ah, right, here we are. Right, I'm going to highlight this to anchor me, but also, that sounds goddamn delicious. I've had venison, I've never had elk. But I do like an iron richness in my meat. I've had kangaroo. That's a very unusual. It's like a naturally peppered beef. Not not entirely dissimilar texture to braising steak. Softer, obviously, but it's still got that sort of fibrousness and very, very peppery. Elk meat is apparently a big thing right now, which is good to know. I'm working on improving it. Oh, that's a query. Ava, you're whipping up for Whipocalypse. I can't take anymore. Do you know what I've done today? Because I've got a chapter and a few notes on my new novel, but I have so many whirling around in my head. And during my pitch to this agent, I was asked to put down about my future projects, presumably because they're only interested in authors who would have like a long time run at it. And I've been researching my alternate history political thriller. So I've been up to my arms in historical research. I will talk to you about my alternate history if anybody is interested, because frankly, I am staggering around trying to find content. But yeah, that's what I've been doing today as a means of totally avoiding writing my new novel, because it's really, really hard. Right. Okay. So, yes, you Fox. I love that I have this nickname. I know it's from the story, but given that I look more like a badger with how my hair's going grey. Christ, my hair really has flat. It's just deflated. I never thought I'd care about this, but here we do. You said you finished it, and you need a bedtime story. Yes, but here's the problem. The first chapter of my book is a Lord, a second person present tense duologue, and I cannot do the other voice. I can't. It's between a demon and a spirit, and the spirit is a young woman, and I can't do the voice. And ordinarily this wouldn't be a problem, but the whole point of it is the juxtaposition of those two voices. So, regrettably, I can't read the first chapter without assistance, without casting someone. Oh, one of them. Although, with that statement, have you not just described most of those who worked for 2000 AD back in the day? Thatcher era sci-fi lizard erotica. Not gonna lie, as a premise, I would read that, but now that you've said it, given the latter part, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, oh yes, there it is, there it is. Yeah, I know these people. There were so many of them on my master's course. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, why have you paid thousands upon thousands of pounds, or rather gone thousands upon thousands of pounds into debt to get here? You see, these places like this aren't going on over here. Oh, I thought is is lizard erotica not something you've branched out to, Aphrodite? And indeed, it would be tight because lizards don't have external genitalia; they both have cloacas. So it's going to be a really awkward sex scene between, even if it's a heterosexual lizard couple, because they're just going to be sort of banging their pelvises together and then staying really, really still. Actually, it's not that dissimilar. It's just basic sex, is it? In that regard. Only, no, still shedding the skin and eating it later. I understand that entirely. It's all part of the dance. I saw something about a short film and it popped away. Oh, is that Aphrodite leaving? Yes, it is. If you're still there, good night, Aphrodite. This is. I need to think of a new way of running this because I'm getting completely lost in all of this. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom again. And if there's anything I've missed that you think is particularly important, just repeat it and I'll read it out again. Did I not see that we had someone else joining us? Nicole McEwen, welcome, welcome, welcome. I apologize most sincerely that it took me this long to find you, but as you can no doubt see, I'm having a little bit of an issue navigating the chat. Ordinarily, the voices are just in my head, but now they're in a full digital display. Right, sod it, all the way down. You Oh no, it's not the speed of the chat coming through. It's just me navigating them, me being an absolute twit. Mr. Jones, who's Mr. Jones and who went to bed? Ah, here's my problem. Almost about fail all of my characters are English. They I'll think of something. I'm not going out of my way to do you know up until this moment I had no idea that was the story detective's name. And there's very little point saying goodnight to him because he's gone. But still. Right. So yes, lizard erotica. I'm very much in favor of it. It's like the the tradition in Dungeons and Dragons of the bard seducing the dragon, or indeed in Shrek, Donkey seducing the dragon. Well, how? I'm not going to go ahead and say I'm curious, but I'm very, very curious. Indeed, I demand to know. Right. Let me highlight over here. The British accent does not exist. Because Britain is composed of 4 nations, and God knows how many regions inside of it. So it's not even like saying, oh, the American accent, because there are still like certain syntactic structures that stay the same across the continent. It's more like saying a Western European accent. So you've got God knows how many variations of English. You've got Highland and Lowland Scot. Well, I'm not going to say you're not, and I'm going to leave it at that. You know what, Dal? I might be in touch about that. Yeah. Yeah, Howl knows what herself sounds like, so it's... Yeah, I can get along with that. Right. We should storm the writers' houses and demand answers. No, I think they've got enough going on their plates now, trying to work out Shrek 5, because you can't... you've really got to whip the poor, battered titties of that particular cash cow. Yeah, well, yes, quite right. In fact, strictly speaking, if you were to go for an amalgamation of them all, one that is in equal parts English, Welsh, Northern Irish, and Scottish, it would probably be the accent of my city, the accent that I do not have, which is a matter of great disappointment. No. No, the answer is never magic. Unless it is with, like, by itself intrinsically to do with that. If I was teaching creative writing, and indeed one day I hope to teach this subject, any student who brought the "it's just magic" argument, I would probably beat to death. Yep. With the frozen corpse of their own grandmother. Something like that. You are not discriminating. I understand. I understand entirely. Oh, whereabouts? Whereabouts in Australia? Laura coming in high on my list of favorite people for. No, that joke's too filthy even for me. I'm going to leave that off. If you did Texan with a bit of Minnesota, some New Jersey with a Boston flair, bordered with Southern California, and some Canadian on the end, but made it English. Yes, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm on board with that. I beg your pardon, Howell, but is that not just the founding legend of Christianity? You took this to a place it didn't have to, and yet here we are. You had to bring the New Testament into this. New South Wales. It's nice to have a little more of the Anglosphere represented. Right, all we need now is an Irishman, a Kiwi, and a Canadian, and we might be able to balance this thing out. Of course not, just any ad. Is thanks a question? I am curious. Oh, what? It's happening. We were talking about a damn donkey and a dragon. You brought up magical insemination, but if what is that? If not, I can do this. I can do this. Right? What? This is going to be so dumb, but so satisfying for me. We were talking about lizard erotica. We started on the whole no external genitalia. You brought up magic insemination. That is the Immaculate Conception, otherwise known as the virgin birth. What is the virgin birth in Greek? Parthenogenesis. A process by which a single female, without having intercourse with a male, creates a child. A phenomenon that is observed in reptiles, particularly Komodo dragons. So, take that away with you. Lots of Kiwis there. Oh, the dirty joke you didn't say. It was just quite clear that the lizard on the left was offering its ass to the one on the right. It's just how they were arranged. They were ready to go. So Jesus was a Komodo. To answer your question, Dal, of what am I listening to? We've decided that Jesus was a Komodo dragon. Who features in a series of highly successful erotica novels written by the creative team behind Shrek. I think that's roughly where we're up to. Well, hell, Nicole, that'll save the species. I mean, Lord knows we don't really have to go out of our way to be creating new people. There's plenty of them. I mean, this virus that's going on at the moment, no matter how bad it gets, there's still going to be way too many. So I don't think any one individual particularly owes the human species that much in the way of self-replicating DNA. Yeah, Kermit and Miss Piggy are horrifying. And can you imagine if they bred? Lizard erotica and how it's possible. Is that not that in-universe book from Harry Potter? I'm pretty certain it is. Sci-fi is terrified of Komodos. Can you build that up a little bit for me, Dal? Do you mean a character within your science fiction story, or? Oh, Laura's dead. I'll tell you who else was dead. Jesus. Until he came back in his final form as Godzilla. Because that's what happens when a Komodo dragon dies. It's down for 3 days. Gojira. What do you mean we? I'm so confused. So Jesus is a Komodo. Yeah. Because parthenogenesis literally means the virgin birth. And Komodo dragons can perform parthenogenesis. Something that was only discovered recently in Chester Zoo, about 20 miles up the road from here. They had a female Komodo dragon that laid a fertilized clutch of eggs. I mean, it's like you can't run a species off of it. It's like an emergency carbon copier just to get the population numbers up. Also, given that most reptiles are also cannibals, it may be an... Oh, God. I've just realized the implication of that. Just making a child because you're hungry. I love dragons and Jesus, but I'm not brave enough to write about. Oh, no! Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't suggesting the writing of erotica between that featured both. I've dug a hole here. Okay, give me a minute. Right, I wasn't suggesting the writing of erotica that featured the love between a dragon. You know what? It's sound. You don't have to bow out because that's not what I was getting at. But I do not have the spiritual energy to reopen this particular thing just to try and make it make sense. So I do apologize. As I type on my keyboard, being stupid. So yeah, one of my main characters are terrifying Komodos, and so they should be. Komodo dragons are fascinating, but they are genuinely terrifying. For the longest time, they thought that Komodo dragons had the most venomous bite of any animal on Earth because they were observing them to bite cattle, fuck off for a bit, and wait for it to die. Then it turned out that no, they're not venomous. They just have the most bacteria-filled mouth of any animal on the planet. So they were like just opening up a raw wound into an animal and letting it fester from the bacteria that was in its mouth. And then a couple of years ago, they found out, oh no, not only do they have the most bacteria-filled mouth of any animal on the planet, they also have one of the most venomous bites. So they're just terrifying, beautiful, beautiful animals. I would very much love to hold and caress one and raise it as my own. But yeah, absolutely terrifying. I've actually looked up for babies and met sweet dreams. Uh, why? I was curious as to how did we get here? Did I miss something? Did I miss something? It's possible because this is skipping every time because since from a dragon theory going that we apparently developed. Oh yeah, it's plausible deniability. Don't get me wrong. Ah, that's fair. First time with a lot of people learning speech patterns. Don't mind me. You are hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Now, that's my favorite type, however. I like the idea of the kimono dragon. Because now it's sensual again. Now these dragons are taking on a little bit. They're now trying. Yeah, kimono dragons need to, because how else do they entice you? Just wearing those silky Japanese robes. I suppose. Now you're scaring me. Yeah, no, I would. I'm fascinated by them, and I think they're beautiful, beautiful animals, and I would dearly love to cradle one in my arms. Maybe put it over my shoulder, pat on the back, get its wind up. Again, raise it as my own. Take it to school, play catch, not fetch, catch. Be at its graduation. Okay, I didn't see any of this going on in the chat, which leads me to think that elsewhere a conversation is going on about my height. I mean, to be fair, a psychic cowboy in Walmart did once tell me that lizard people put the Clintons in the White House, so it's not outside realms of possibility. Well, yeah, the psychotropic cowboy is a recognized phenomenon. It's not a particularly regular phenomenon. It's rather akin to the Pleiades, or the half of the or the blood moon. When the psychic cowboy comes around, you tend to listen to what he's saying. So I don't blame you there. Although, yeah, the lizard people put the Clintons into the White House, and it took the Morlocks to get them out. I said you're 6'1" or under, and she said you're over 6'4". And you're guessing in the middle, which would be a median of 6'2.5". Filming ideas. What possible filming ideas would involve this? Are you ranking male orphotubers? Are we doing the calendar? I can't remember where we talked about this. I think it was on a stream Howell and Howard did. Because there are so few male orphotubers, we should do like a calendar. But if that's the case of the bet, Ava, you win. You win the bet. Tallest gets NaNoWriMo. We dwarves are natural splinters. Splinters? Sprinters? Fuck me. This day has got completely away from me. There's a porpoise plan. What do you mean? The tallest gets NaNoWriMo, like they inherit it. No, the Ink Goblin's character would be all of you people. Would include you folk. Oh, we're getting derision and scowling from the gallery. Any moment now, Catty will be throwing tomatoes and eggs onto the stage. Well, that is fair. That is fair. Congratulations. We have gone through some of the strangest lines of casual conversation. We've had the lizard erotica, we've had the Jesus lizards, and who knows what else, but it's this bet over my height that has really thrown me off guard. And what do you have to say for yourself, Trope Trinity Trilogy? Do you have something you'd like to share with the class? When I hear calendar, I think tasteful nudes, and I'm not sure I can handle that. When I think calendar, I think last-minute Christmas present. Well, you heard it here, folks. Let the gentleman of AuthorTube know that tasteful nudes are not only required, they are demanded. Light the beacons and get them out. Ye gods, am I really? Oh my. To the listening to the voice. Fucking English Wi-Fi! Christ! Oh, right. What happened? What happened? What happened? Are we here? Am I here? Give me a clue, folks. Give me a clue. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades all, I must say that this whole thing is becoming an absolute gooch. Shouldn't have to go through this. But yes, all this talk about my voice got me a little bit hot and bothered. I had to very quickly go and throw some cold water over myself. And Congratulations, because of how I am now positioned in order to get a connection, you can really see how grey my hair is. Right, where were we? They asked me that I kind of, what's this? What's this? What's this? I don't imagine anyone would want me in a calendar staring at them. No, we do. That's exactly what we want. Just staring, unblinking, New South Wales intensity. You know, like you're really going to explain rugby to them. Come on. Oh, God. I am I am not 6'5". I can promise you that. I am not that tall. Oh my God, of euphemisms. Which particular euphemisms? I got distracted. I got distracted by the fact that the universe is collapsing in on me. As long as the calendars. No, it's going to be a seeing eye picture. You know, ostensibly it's just going to be a series of spirals and almost paisley polka dotted patterns. But if you look at it in just the right way, you'll see a naked author tuber. I'd never unsee it. You got one of those cameras before? You first? Yes, I did. I did freeze. Rating him. The voice has stopped time. Yep. I completely. I thought it was all over because the whole thing collapsed. Ta-da! Hi, 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 hi. And I'm back. Only several of us. Third day. Looked at my coming first light. Great. I thought my comments killed the whole thing. That's not enough. These bets are ridiculous. 5'10". No. No, I'm not 5'10". Actually, oh, here we are. Oh, sorry, it popped. There are 12 inches in a foot. You'd think at this point in our civilization there would be uniformity of measurements across the planet. Solid 6'1", 6'2". I'm not playing this game. I will not reveal. By, above, on. I'm not a hobbit. Five. Why is this a thing? I am I am curious. No sooner did I announce the completion of my first novel. Well, that is true. That is true, Dal. You have me there. No sooner did I announce the completion, the proper completion, the final completion of my first novel, then everybody seems to go, "Yeah, that's all very well and good, but how tall are you?" It is. It has become a thing. The legends don't say how it began, but this is how we live now. Yeah, that whole being one of my favorite people thing, it's only going up. It's only going up. So, what else? I mean, the last half hour of my broadcast, last 25 minutes, in fact, of my broadcast, and I'm pretty certain I had things I wanted to say, but they're all gone now. They're all gone. They're like my high aspirations. So when I was a kid and I wanted to be an astronaut, no, gone. It's all gone. Every dream, every hope, gone. Everything I wanted to talk about on a What Now, Overtube, House Party live stream, gone. And now I am but a bewildered and deflated old man staring down the clock until he can next have a cigarette. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. But what a what a ride it has been. Ooh. Uh, I don't know how this measures out. This is not how I measure things. Oh, does this mean you're leaving us, Danny? If so, yes, certainly I will. I will be in touch in one way or another. So you take care, pal. You look after yourself. Aye, ta-ra, Danny. When I was little, I woke up crying at night because I was worried I'd never. Oh, oh, I'm so sorry. That's so sad. Oh, okay. That's like a serious thing. So I'll when I was a kid, when I was little, the the thing I wanted most of all was I mean little, I mean 5 or 6. The thing I wanted more than anything was to build basically Jurassic Park. I wanted the dinosaur zoo, and it oddly enough it sort of stuck around as I grew up, and it drew me towards my first love of science, and then I became a science fiction writer because the sciences I wanted to study weren't practical. So I went, and now George Church is working on multiplex automated genome engineering, and within our lifetimes, we will be able to go and see woolly mammoths in the wild. Oh, Love Smiles coming out with a classic, one's as old as the hills. Do you do it? No, but there's a growing call for this. This keeps happening to me. Um, I'm in the middle of developing what I said. Would you call it a show reel if it's just for voice? I'll save a lot of time and call it a show reel. I'm trying to put one of those together. I'm going to stick it on my channel, and people can decide for themselves as they wander around. I dare say, Dal. I dare say, I was always absolutely. I still am fascinated with paleontology. It's the natural world and natural history is just so intrinsically beautiful to me that I can't look away from it. That includes dead things. See, I'm not my fascination with death is not necessarily morbid because most of life on Earth is now dead. Who do we have? Who do we have? Who do we have? The cerebral hedonist. That I know you. I've watched your. Is it you? Pardon me. I need a second to make sure that I'm not addressing somebody else because if memory serves, I'm a fan of your videos. I've just got onto YouTube and got incredibly shocked to discover that What Now is broadcasting live. Yes, it is. Hello, hello, hello. It's so pleasant to be in the same room as you. How are you? Oh, and Nicole is away. Let's go off to work on 3. I'm hopefully behind. Well, Nicole, has been an absolute pleasure, and I hope very, very much to speak with you again. Yeah. When I was little, I also woke up crying when I'd never shrink down and go inside the human body and tie. Well, like the Fantastic Voyage or Inner Space. That would be terrifying. That would be truly, truly horrifying to be able to do that. We used to have this game. Some of my mates. It was because this is sort of thing we did when talked about rather when we were drunk. Was to try and decide what superpower you wanted, but then you had to put on a limitation that almost entirely counteracted it. And we stopped playing it after a few years because my friend Jamie came up with maybe it won't be funny to you, but I had about 7 pints in me and it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. We stopped playing it after that because it never got any funnier. And his was that he could teleport wherever he wanted, but he had to do so from bus stop to bus stop. And then it became that he teleported at the speed the bus moved. So there was just this slowly assembling form of skeleton and muscle tissue. And the bus stop scaring the shit out of old ladies. And there was a reason I brought that up. But I have completely and utterly, shamelessly forgotten what it was. So, as we are climbing into the final 20 minutes of this broadcast, given that we have talked about literally everything that isn't to do with writing at all, I am throwing open the floor to anybody who has anything they want to talk about. Ask and I shall answer, begin and I shall finish. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Awa bambalubao, awam bamboo. Tutti fruity. Oh, don't go quiet on me now. What a shame. Oh, no, wrong one highlighted. This is true, this is true, this is true. I am exactly 5'8¾", which pisses me off significantly. It's the 3/4 that bother me. It's like, why not just round up or go down? It's one or the other. But Celtic, what are you going to do? So as you were answering my question, my household became deafening, and so I will have to rewatch your stream, which was what was your question, Dan? I do apologize. But yes, Celtic, what are you going to do? We're dwarves. We're stocky. It's all on my shoulders. It's all on my shoulders. We don't necessarily go all the way up. Well, is a meter 3 feet? If a meter's 3 feet, it's slightly less than 2 meters, but I don't think so. It is 1.72 meters. There. We have learned something new about what now, which is remarkable for someone who likes to reveal as little information about themselves as is possible. Right. No, I don't do them. There seems to be a growing interest in me doing them. What I had started doing was a book at bedtime on here. I read some of Aphrodite's book last week, but this week rather got away from me and I didn't put a call out for them. But I am thinking about putting together a little show reel for my channel because people seem to be interested in me doing them. Oh, hello. What do you find more terrifying, the lack of freedom in dystopian or the danger of the apocalypse? Which would you choose to live in, and which fictional world terrifies you the most? Well, we're sort of living in a mixture of the two, are we not? Ironically, the only freedoms people suddenly want to have is the danger of the apocalypse. What do you find more terrifying? The lack of freedom in dystopian or the danger of the apocalypse? It's probably the lack of freedom, because that is purely man-made. Anything truly apocalyptic can also be a natural phenomenon, in which case you don't really, it doesn't matter what the machinations of the species are. Wouldn't make all that difference. But the more socio-political side of it, I find deeply, deeply troubling, particularly in regards to where we live in now. If at any other point you want me to talk about my views on the politics of a planet, we will do so, but we're getting towards the end, so perhaps not. And which would you choose to live in, and which fictional world terrifies you the most? Fuck me, Laura, that is a good question. Well, I'll try the second one. Which fictional world terrifies you the most? The I think the world in Terry Gilliam's Brazil is deeply, deeply troubling because it's so recognizable. It's a parody of 1984, but the world of Oceania and Ingsoc is not recognizable. It's an antique nightmare. It's a nightmare of people who lived in the 40s and 50s. It doesn't strictly apply to us now. But I think Gilliam's Brazil is a deeply troubling one. I'm gonna have to ruminate on that one, and I'll get back to you. That's a really, really good one. We are animated booktubers all around. What's this? What's this? What's this? Thank you for answering twice. I'm interested in making my series into an audiobook in response to. You're telling me. Intriguing is one word I'd use for it. Evidence used in obtaining a restraining order is another I wouldn't have used. Brazil is one of my favorite films. It's because it was made in 1984. So Gilliam said that his intention was to make 1984 for 1984. And it's so bleakly horrifying. If you watch Brazil, you'll understand every What Now book that follows. The other another one of my favorites is Doctor Strangelove, the Stanley Kubrick one. I don't know if you've seen that, but I do think that is one of probably the best comedy ever. And it's so bleak, it's so dark, and it's wonderful, and I love it. Oh, we have another Gilliam fan. Spectacular. It's in fact, I do struggle to think if there's ever been a bad Gilliam film. There's been plenty that I didn't particularly like. I'm not the biggest fan of The Fisher King, as much as I love Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams. I don't think The Fisher King is a. Likewise, I understand what was going on in Tideland, but it didn't quite come off to me. But he's one of my major creative influences. Incidentally, here's a question for you all as we get to the final rundown. Because obviously we're all writers here, but who are your creative influences that aren't writers? I'm talking filmmakers, painters, singers, any creative, even if it's a kind of fucking architecture, it doesn't matter. Any creative influence that has really made a stamp on your work that isn't a writer. Yeah, he has these interlocking trilogies. So there's Time Bandits, Brazil, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which are one trilogy. But he has a second one, which is his dystopian trilogy. He has a trilogy of dystopian films that are Brazil, 12 Monkeys, and The Zero Theorem. Now, The Zero Theorem is interesting because it's as if he was trying to make Brazil for today, but it's a bit colder, it's a bit more sterile. The Zero Theorem might be a good feeling for you. Yeah, I'm not animated at all, ever, in any stretch of the word. I think. Oh, I got more love for how I learned to stop worrying and love the bomb. Yeah, I can imagine, and then you find out just how true it was, and it was probably the most creative use of anxiety. You know, when we talk about turning your fears into art, The fact that Stanley Kubrick, the the great cerebral filmmaker, chose to take all of that anxiety and fear and horror about the imminence of nuclear war and make a comedy out of it. That's beautiful. That's the kind of thing that gives me hope for the species. You need to watch them all, Laura. Just if get a pen and paper and anything I mention, just get it watched up to and including the Nudie Boys of Orthotube calendar, which you started. Yeah, I agree. I agree entirely. I mean, I've seen the Zero Theorem a couple of times now, and every time I watch it, I think I should love this, but I just like it. Oddly enough, I've not seen the Brothers Grimm, and I don't know why. The Imaginary of Dr. Parnassus, well, for famous reasons, suffered massively in the production process. But I think it was a brave attempt. Homework of the week. Howell, explain yourself. Dal's music. Oh, fuck. I sincerely hope not. But no, I meant the film, The Zero Theorem, whereas Brazil has more of this barely contained, anxious energy, this frenetic claustrophobia. The Zero Theorem has more of a clinical. Watch it and you'll understand. You'll see what I mean. It's still a good film, but it's just not as good as Brazil. But it finishes an arc he begins with. Well, why would I judge anyone for Lars von Trier? Chaos reigns. That is a not insignificant list. Yeah, I can imagine what you write. The stuff I do, possibly. Del Toro is a huge influence on me. I think the two greatest travesties to happen to cinema in the last 10 years, no, 15 years or so, is they sacked him from directing The Hobbit, and then Universal dropped his Frankenstein adaptation. But maybe we will see his Mountains of Madness. I only listen to Pentatonics at Christmas. They have a really odd version of making Christmas from the Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh, absolutely, and I'm laughing all the time. You should only laugh at serious things. I'm a big fan of gallows humor. Did you ever hear about John French, the double murderer from I think it was Texas in the early '60s? He was obviously found guilty of murdering two people, sentenced to death by the electric chair, and as he was fastened in, he was asked if he had any last words, and he said, how's this for tomorrow's headline? French fries." I'd have let him off. I don't care who he killed. If you're getting yes, and I was teasing you for teasing me, and in this way, we define this relationship. Dancing in the dark. See what I maxed out. Yeah, it's a perfect marriage between subject and interpreter, and why it doesn't exist is utterly beyond me. I mean, you go back and you read Lovecraft's work, and you realize, wow, this is really phenomenal stuff, but this is a fucking nightmare to adapt. I mean, it's like the majority of the short stories are just sketches. They're just sort of events or images. I mean, you read something like, Laughatep, and it's just what? What the fuck? The I mean, the Herbert West movies, they're great fun, but it's untrue to say that they're a true adaptation. But Lovecraft's a tricky subject. I mean, if we can give one thing to the century, it's that Lovecraft now is more to do with a genre than it is to do with the man. The teasing of the teasing, or the teasing of the teasing of the teasing. How much teasing is going on here? You may never know for certain. This is what happens when you start teasing me. If you're gonna hit the king, you'd better kill the king. Watching Mimic told me that he was exactly right. Yeah, it's absolutely right. I mean, the if you think about how indeed I dare say, because it's really quite obvious that you have thought about it, how fantasy or at least fantastical writers used a certain cultural shorthand or cultural coding. I mean, it's like if you are describing the architecture of a fantastical place and you say that it's all uh, columns and you're invoking a classical or neoclassical stance. So I'm sort of imagining where you are, but then you read how he describes the fucking geometry of Rilye in the Call of Cthulhu, and this is to actually get into the fact that the mathematics don't work. That this is so alien. The idea behind the color out of space is pure nightmare. To even try and contemplate a color that doesn't exist. He was onto something. What can I say? He was a despicable individual, but god damn it, could he write? And he was very good at it. He hated the postmodernists so much, but he wrote a parody. He wrote a piss take of T.S. Eliot's For Wasteland, and he called it Waste Paper. But the thing is, he actually ended up writing one of the best pieces of postmodernism. Phenomenal. Yeah, Lovecraft is a great example of a power literature has that other mediums don't. And that's absolutely right. There are certain things that cannot be twisted into new forms, and nor should they be. We should have this great ecosystem of creativity. In fact, I have deliberately written things into my book that technically cannot be moved into anything else with any luck. And yes, you do. And also, Love Smiles, that is exceptional of you. Long live the king. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, all, we are now in the final minute and 5 seconds of our broadcast this evening. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for whatever the fuck just happened here. I'm not entirely certain. Welcome to the show. Cerebral headness, silly voices are what we do. I'm waiting for the AuthorTube Disney sing-along just so I can do Be Prepared. Magic. Again, that is very much my raison d'etre, but I will probably do one of these again because Lord knows I was spent the beginning of this thinking, you know what, there's going to be 2 people here and I'm just not going to do one of these again. I did my bit for the hashtag and off we go. But I will do one of these eventually. I am owed a story from Ava, and I will have it. 'Tis a pound of flesh is mine, and I will have it. And I thought we discussed this. Didn't you summon me? I am your tulpa. Nice to meet you. But yes, I will love you and leave you. So, thank you again very much for joining us. At some point in the next one, I will have an idea of what we're going to talk about. I will try and fail to rein you all in. But it has been an exceptional pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me. Good evening.